It wasn't the shouting I remembered. It was the sound of porcelain, fine, white, imported from Kyoto, shattering on the marble floor. That delicate sound somehow louder than the rest. He'd thrown the teacup, not at me, never directly. Oliver preferred indirect destruction. He believed precision made cruelty cleaner. "You don't understand," he said that night, his jaw tight, his voice clipped like he was managing a press interview instead of an argument with his wife. "This isn't your world, Elara. It's business. It's mine." He said it often. Mine. What Oliver never understood was that everything he called his, the house, the firm, the legacy, had been mine long before he arrived. That night, as I swept up the porcelain, I made a decision. Not to leave, not yet. Revenge, I had learned, requires stillness first. Oliver Quinn was a man who couldn't exist without applause. He wasn't the loudest person in the room, but he made sure the silence bent toward him. When we met at the Royal Institute of Architecture's Winter Gala, he was just starting his own firm, a handful of draftsmen and a rented studio with a view of the river. He was charming, sharp, devastatingly self-assured. I was the quiet one, a researcher, a design consultant for urban renewal projects. My world was data, not champagne. He liked that about me. "You ground me," he'd say. What he really meant was, "You don't compete." He proposed 6 months later in Barcelona, in the shadow of Gaudi's cathedral. "We'll build our own masterpiece," he whispered. He meant the firm. I thought he meant a life. For a while, we were both right. It started with whispers at dinners. "She doesn't really get the creative side," I overheard one associate tell a client. "She's more administrative." I smiled because Oliver was the one who'd started that narrative. The story of Elara, the practical wife, the one who helped with bookkeeping while he handled the vision. The truth was uglier. I was the one who'd secured the first investors. My name on the contracts, my research shaping the designs that made his reputation. But Oliver had a gift for invisibility, not his own, mine. When awards came, he thanked my incredible team, and of course my wife, for her patience. Patience. The word stung like an insult disguised as gratitude. Her name was Sienna Vale. Young, elegant, the kind of woman who looked born for red carpets and magazine covers. Oliver called her a protégé. He hired her as a design consultant for a high-profile museum project. The first time I saw them together, they were standing too close at a launch event, the way people do when they've already crossed a line but haven't yet confessed it to themselves. At home, he began working later. He stopped asking me to review his plans. "You wouldn't understand this one," he said one night, not unkindly. "Just certain." He didn't notice how often he said that lately. One morning, I found a message on his iPad, left open on the counter. "Sienna, you make me feel seen." "Oliver, you make me feel alive again." My hands didn't tremble. I just closed the screen, because I already knew how this story ended. I just hadn't written my chapter yet. Our home was an architectural marvel, Oliver's signature project. A 3-story glass house overlooking the cliffs. But there was one room he never entered. The Porcelain Room. It was my private studio, filled with blueprints, maps, 3D models, and a digital wall that displayed the skeletons of cities. My secret space, invisible behind a hidden sliding panel in the east corridor. I'd designed it before we married. I'd built it with my money, my blueprints, my name. And that was where I began my second project, the severance plan. I started with documents, share certificates, intellectual property transfers, private contracts that legally gave me majority ownership of Quinn Design Atelier. Oliver had never read the fine print when he registered the firm under my LLC for tax reasons. He thought it was trust. It was structure. When the email arrived, I laughed. The International Design Consortium requests your attendance at the annual Visionary Awards Gala. Quinn Design Atelier has been nominated for Firm of the Year. Oliver was ecstatic. "This is it," he said, pacing like a child. "This will put us in the global press." Us. But when the formal invitation came by courier, there was only one name printed on the golden card. Elara Quinn, Principal Architect, Quinn Design Atelier. He frowned when he saw it. "That's obviously a mistake," he said. "You're not—" I looked up. "Not what, Oliver?" He hesitated. "Not part of the presentation team." I smiled. "Then you won't need to worry about being embarrassed." For 3 weeks, Oliver rehearsed his acceptance speech. He even bought a new tuxedo. Sienna would be there, of course. As part of the creative team, he told me. He didn't notice that the staff looked at me differently now, that the firm's CFO had stopped answering his calls and started copying me directly on financial reports. I'd spent months restructuring quietly, acquiring silent votes, moving assets. Every file, every blueprint, every design patent now legally belonged to me. The night before the gala, Oliver came home smelling of Sienna's perfume. He didn't see me watching from the doorway. "You don't understand the business, Elara," he said, when I asked where he'd been. I smiled softly. "You're right," I said, "but you will." The ballroom of the Halcyon Hotel glimmered under golden light. Cameras flashed, music swelled. The world's top architects, investors, and designers filled the room. Oliver entered with Sienna on his arm. She wore silver. He wore arrogance. He didn't see me yet, not until my name appeared on the screen above the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host announced, "please welcome this year's recipient of the Visionary Architect Award, the founder and principal of Quinn Design Atelier, Elara Quinn." Gasps rippled through the audience. Sienna's smile froze mid-flash. Oliver's eyes widened. Confusion, then panic, then comprehension. I walked onto the stage in a black velvet gown, every step measured, every second deliberate. The applause was deafening, but I didn't look at the audience. I looked at him. "Thank you," I began. "Architecture is not about buildings. It's about truth. We shape spaces that reveal who we are." I paused. For years, this firm has been credited to one man. But every design, every blueprint, every signature has carried my hand. Invisible, quiet, deliberate. I chose silence because I believed partnership meant trust. The audience murmured. I continued, my tone steady. But partnership built on deceit cannot stand. Which is why, effective immediately, Quinn Design Atelier will undergo new leadership. Oliver Quinn has been removed as managing director. The room erupted in whispers. Cameras flashed like lightning. Oliver stood, red-faced. "You can't do this," he shouted. "This is my firm." I looked at him. "No, Oliver, it's mine. It always was." Security approached quietly. Sienna tried to follow, but the CFO intercepted her. "You too, Ms. Vale. Your consultancy contract was terminated yesterday." I turned back to the microphone. Some structures collapse under their own lies. I prefer demolition with precision. The applause that followed wasn't polite. It was thunderous. Oliver's name disappeared from the company website the next morning. The press called it the architectural coup. He tried to sue, of course, claimed coercion, fraud, manipulation, but every paper trail led back to him signing his own surrender. Sienna fled the country. Rumor said Dubai. Oliver stayed long enough to sell what was left of his reputation. I didn't watch. I didn't gloat. Revenge isn't about noise. It's about symmetry. The porcelain room became my office again. I left the shattered cup on the shelf as a reminder. Fragility can still cut. A year later, Quinn Design Atelier became Elara Studio. We won 3 international awards. My name appeared on covers, not as someone's wife, but as someone's architect. Sometimes I still drive past the Cliff House, the glass shell of our past. It's empty now, unsold. The wind howls through the open halls. People ask if I miss him. I don't. What I miss is the version of myself that believed silence was safety. Now I understand silence can also be power, when used at the right time. I replaced the broken cup last month. Same pattern, Same fine lines, but uncracked. I drink tea in the mornings and watch the fog roll in from the bay. It's quiet, peaceful, honest. Oliver once said I didn't understand his world. He was right. I built my own. And this time, every wall, every window, every word belongs to me.